Hi guys. So I'm here today on a fairly serious note, because I really just, I need to apologize for something, and I think that one of my other videos may have led you to believe untrue things, and I think that it's time that I open up about it. And I've been meaning to do this, but I just haven't had the time, and even now I'm gonna have to do this pretty quickly. Okay, let's just get it out there. Divergent is crap. I got Divergent and Insurgent for Christmas, and I remember saying in my Divergent review that that I liked the book so much that I wanted to get it. So I decided to reread Divergent before getting into Insurgent, because I hadn't read it in a few months, and I just wanted to make sure that there weren't any little plot lines that I'd forgotten about, so that, you know, if something came up in Insurgent, I wouldn't be like, what the heck is going on? So I did, and rereading it was a very, very different experience than reading it for the first time. The first time I read it, I was so engrossed by the plot line and the story that I didn't really care that the writing itself wasn't that good. I was so obsessed with figuring out what happened, and, you know, would Triss and Ford get together, and, you know, everything. I wasn't thinking clearly, I guess, but then reading it again and knowing what was going to happen, I realized not only how crap it was, but how very familiar it sounded to me. Now, a lot of people have pointed out that this is kind of like Hunger Games because it's the same genre, it's dystopia. But I noticed a lot of parallels between this book and another book that I hate very dearly. I hate it very dearly. That makes sense. A book that I really hate, and a book series I really hate, I should say, that is very, very popular among people my age, and even people a little older than me, which kind of makes me sad. It's so the same! And I didn't even realize it until I read it again. And then, after rereading this, I went into Insurgent. And I'm sorry, but I hate 4 after reading this book, okay? He's like, I love you, Triss. I love you, I love you, I love you. And yet, he's just he's such a dick to her. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it. He's a dick to her. And it annoys me. He's like, you need to stay out of trouble. Why are you always running into trouble? What's wrong with you? Dude, that's Triss. Didn't you know that when you, like, trained her and she kept doing stupid crap to save people? You really think she's gonna change now because you tell her to? And if she did, I think I would hate her more. And at the end, she's like, you know what? You keep saying you love me, but your actions show that you don't. And I was just like, thank you! Thank you! Just thank you! But then, at the end scene, he comes in and he's like, you're right, I just forgot who I fell in love with, or something like that. And I'm just like, what? What? And she's just like, okay, cool, we're good now. Excuse me? I wanted Triss to rip his face off because he was being such a jerk and so selfish. It's like, he's not the only one who's losing things has things at stake. Like, he's not the only one with stuff to lose. It's like, he has less to lose than her. He should not be making more decisions about this just because he's older than her. Bull. Bull. Okay? Bull. So, I'm sorry that I lied to you all, or I was just too blind to see the truth that this stuff is just horrible. I apologize. Please. Please do not think this is literature. I mean, aside from all of the plot stuff, the language is just so juvenile. I mean, I used to write like this when I was 14. You do not... Okay, when you're a professional writer and you're getting a book published, and even if you have a hard time getting in like the fillers of everything, that's why you get an editor that you let help you. And I know how, you know, writers can get really, really attached to every single word, but you kind of have to treat editors the same way you kind of have to treat film adaptations, everything you love is not going to be in it, but as long as the main point you're trying to get across, makes it. As long as the storyline is there, the characters are there, like, in their general essence, as long as everything works the same way, as long as the main point of the story gets across, that's the best thing you could ask for, and that's the best thing you could hope for. Authors should not hang on so much to their writing, because without editors, usually their writing isn't very good, especially since the writing process involves a lot of doing the work really fast all like at once, at least initially, and then you have to spend some time and come back to it. But there's like so many instances in the book where I'm reading it, and it's like she's not really telling you what's going on in the middle of the dialogue. It'll just be this person said, this person said, this person said, and then someone will make a reference to, then why are you eating your peas or whatever? And you're like, what? She had peas? She had food in front of her? She was at lunch? What? I'm confused. I'm lost. In your writing, you really have to show the reader what's going on. Like, you don't have to say necessarily, she was in the cafeteria. You could say, I saw people walking up and down the tables carrying their lunch trays, looking for the person to sit with, or something like that. Then you get, oh, okay, they're in a cafeteria. You don't have to say, plainly what's going on. I was annoyed because this book didn't even say it plainly. It was just like, you kind of found out what was going on 10 minutes after it happened. And it just, I could write better than this when I was 15, which really annoyed me, because just because something is published doesn't mean that it is legitimate, that it is good literature. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that someone thought that the book would sell, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. It is good, but it's not great. And a lot of people say it is. I wish there was a greater appreciation for good literature in the youth today. And I blame public schools. I do, because even private schools, I blame schools in general, because teachers assign books that are really, really hard, that they think have a lot of symbolism in them and everything, but books that are not entertaining or, easy enough for whatever grade level they're teaching to read. Yes, I understand that school's supposed to be challenging and stuff like that, but there are books that are challenging, that take you can think a lot about, that are interesting, and that's what we need to be assigning people, because then something like this comes along that's really, really, engrossing and cool and has a good storyline and a really great concept, but the writing is just dead and nobody notices it, and that makes me angry. It makes me angry. It makes me angry. The literary world cannot afford another Bella-Edward relationship, okay? And that is essentially what Tris 4 is. Fortress. It's like, he's kind of an idiot, but with the good intentions of trying to protect her, and, whatever. And she is trying to be independent, but she really doesn't have the capacity to be truly independent and strong and wise, because she's so driven by her emotions and what she wants. Both characters are extremely selfish, and I'm sorry that it took me so long to realize that. I'm sorry.